Here we go. The ultimate tier list. Which AI is the best English teacher? We will find out today, once and for all. ChatGPT, Claude, Deepseek, Gemini, Grok 3, Meta AI, Quen. Which one is best? Well, how do we even decide that? Is it just my opinion? I'm going to try to be objective. I have 4 criteria. Number 1, giving corrections. How good are the corrections? And how well explained are the corrections? This is not just which one is the best corrector, but which one is the best English teacher. And so how corrections are explained really matters. How about evaluation accuracy? I want to know exactly where I am right now. Am I at B2 or C1? And when I get to C2, I want to know that. I want it to be accurate. So which one is best at that? That's part of being a good English teacher. Generating level-specific content, a good English teacher should know not just which level you're at, but how to use content in the lesson that fits your level so that you're not overwhelmed or bored if it's too easy. And number 4 is vibes. Vibes matter. That's just an overall feeling. Which one feels most intuitive, most natural, right? That also matters. A good teacher has to have good vibes. Very important. Vibes are very important. All right. So before we get into it, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And check out the 90-day program. That's the best way to improve your English fluency in 90 days. AI-powered. And at the end of 90 days, if you don't see the results you were expecting, you get a full refund at the end of 90 days. Pretty good deal. All right, let's jump into it. All right, so let's start with Claude. And by the way, I'll leave the link to this tier list in the description. If you want to do this for yourself, go ahead. Maybe you think I'm totally wrong. Share your list, the link to your list, in the comments. Okay, so with Claude, I think it's interesting. Claude does have a personality. And when you're chatting with Claude, Claude feels intelligent. Now, it's also more optimized for technical stuff, and I find it's not as intuitive when it comes to language stuff. A good teacher, knows that the best way to get a student talking is to ask open questions, to get them to say as much as possible. And so I think Claude is okay at that, not bad. The feedback generally is pretty good, but not necessarily given in the way that a teacher would give it. So I'm going to put Claude at a B, and I'm close to putting Claude at a C. Now, it's interesting with Quen. Quen has a voice mode. I don't want to factor that in, but the voice mode I find to be pretty natural. Now, Quen, I think, is about the same as Claude when it comes to, you know what, I'm going to change Claude. I'm putting Claude at C. Yeah, I think I have to. And then with Quen, I think the back and forth is a bit more natural. I'm not so crazy about the formatting. Sometimes the questions are not as open and encouraging as they could be, and the feedback is a bit direct. So I'm going to, for now, put Quen also at a C as an English teacher, and maybe I'll change my mind about that. I'm kind of thinking about this as I go. You know how it is with tier lists. You start with something, it's hard to put the first one in, and then as you put more up there, you start to feel like, okay, actually, this one belongs higher or lower. Now, Deepseek is interesting. It's not the same as Quen. I find Deepseek to understand the task and the instructions more clearly. Quen sometimes gets lost, and it seems like a bit confused. Whereas I think Deepseek has a very clear understanding of what the instructions are, what I'm supposed to do as a teacher, how I can give feedback so that it's easy to understand, concise, well formatted, and also easy to understand. I think Deepseek is better as an English teacher than both Claude and Quen. So far I'm feeling pretty good about this. Now, ChatGPT. This is the most popular AI tool in the world right now. Is it popular for a reason? I think so. ChatGPT is, has good models, but I think it's now becoming less and less important to have the best model. Because as soon as one gets here, all of the others get to about the same level, right? All of these companies are kind of competing with each other with very minor differences between the models themselves. And so the thing that differentiates one from another is the product itself, right? How intuitive is the product? How user-friendly is it? What features does it have? How is it tuned, for example, with a voice mode or the deep research feature that it may have, or reasoning, right? What is it like to search with this? When you ask a question, does the answer seem to kind of understand what you were trying to do when you ask the question, right? The maybe intention behind the question. For this, I still think that ChatGPT is the best in this category. Not in every category, but in the category of understanding what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. As an overall experience, as an English learner, to have ChatGPT as a guide, as a teacher, I think it's up here. I think it's an A. And we'll see if we have an S tier, but I think we have to say it's an A. Now, Gemini is a really interesting one because it's a cutting-edge model. If you look at the benchmarks that are out there, Gemini right now is right at the top, the best model. But for having such a good model, the implementation of it is, I think, just bad in many ways. Responses are clunky. Formatting is hard to read and understand. It's not as conversational as some of the other tools. Overall, as an experience, it's just not that great. And sometimes responses are just totally off from what you were expecting, right? And that goes for reasoning, that goes for the voice mode, everything about Gemini. It's so weird. It's so good. The model is so good, but the way that it's done as a product is so bad in so many categories, and it's really strange. I find I almost never use Gemini anymore just because it seems dumb somehow. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Gemini, but please fire whoever is in charge of that and fix it. And notice I didn't even put Apple Intelligence in here because it's a joke, right? It's terrible. That would be below D if there's an option. Okay, what about Meta? Now, Meta is open source, so that makes it kind of different, right? It tends to be a bit more wordy. As a back and forth, it's not bad. And overall, it's kind of just a meh experience. If you want to get questions answered, it's fine. But if you want to have a really immersive interaction, right? If you want to get really accurate feedback, if you want that to be given in a way that a teacher would give it, maybe not the best. I'm going to put it at a C. Okay. Now, that leaves Grok. Grok is a very interesting one. Grok feels more different when you're interacting with it than all of the others, I think, and generally just seems really smart. Now, it's weird because there are different modes, and you can do personalities, right? You can try different personalities. I find those to be not very useful at all. But the sort of main assistant, whether it's a voice chat or a text chat, kind of understands what you're trying to do, I think, perhaps on the same level of ChatGPT, very intelligent, very intuitive, right? Is able to give good feedback, explain things clearly, right? And is generally quite accurate and basically does what you ask quite well, follows instructions well. It's when you get into all of the side things that it gets a little weird. Unpredictable results with deep research. Weird conversation voice modes that just don't really work and aren't very natural or helpful. And so I think it has a lot of clutter, a lot of extra stuff. And if they just focused on the main experience, it would be a better product overall and better to use as an English teacher. But I have to say, the voice mode, having a live conversation with Grok, is very good. And you get that voice transcript. Now, I can't say for that reason it deserves to be at the same level with ChatGPT, but just for the overall level of intuition, I think it's very close. But I think it deserves to be here and maybe here. Now, the question is, are these two actually tied? So let me think about that. What I want really in an assistant, an AI assistant, is someone who understands me, who knows my goals, who can help me get to the next level, right? Who can do what I ask without needing a bunch of explanation, who remembers what we've talked about before, what we've done before, right? Who can be just very, very helpful, whether as an English teacher or whatever I need to do. So, which one is better at that right now? Recently, ChatGPT got a couple of things. One is the ability to reason with and generate really accurate images, which can be helpful in a lot of ways. But the other is memory. Recently, ChatGPT got much better at remembering past conversations, and that works really well. Now, Meta also has released new models that have a huge context window, but it really only has the promise of being a better experience and hasn't really shown itself in the real world as a great experience, at least not that I've seen yet. But because ChatGPT has that ability to remember previous conversations and help you stick with goals, I have to put it above. I have to put it above Grok. I have to. So, ChatGPT, currently S tier. Grok, A, Deepseek, B, Claude, Quen, and Meta at C, kind of meh, right? Not bad. And then Gemini, unfortunately, just because of the experience, is a D. And that's really weird. Google is so weird with products. They have amazing technology, and then at the last step with the user experience, they just go, nah, who cares? So weird. It's so weird. Anyway, that's the tier list. Let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think this is crazy? Is this right? This does not mean that tools should not get better, right? In 2 years, this will be hopefully totally different. And what S means will be totally different, I hope. But yes, let me know what you think. Share your tier list with me. I'd love to see it. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you haven't done so already, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Get a free course in the links in the description. Also, check out the 90-day program in the links in the description. You can get a full refund if you're not happy with the experience. It is the best way to improve your English fluency in 90 days. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.